So, welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of Against All Odds. This is purely a selfish podcast because I love to interview inspirational people. So, I'm super excited today to be joined by coach, mentor, author, and just all round amazing inspiration, Mr. Luke John Harrison. How are you, my lovely?
Fantastic. Even more excited today because I get to do this with you, Amy. So,
Oh, there you go. Thank you. So you are extremely well known. So it's the Super Tribe group that you've got.
total supercharged tribe. Yeah.
That yeah, which is amazing. So that's online and in person as well. So you can go worldwide, which is absolutely incredible. So I've seen the results that you've got from this, but for anybody who's not aware, just explain in one sentence what you do in your group for people.
Yeah. Simply, I help people supercharge their energy. Help people supercharge their energy. That's the easiest way to say it.
So it's physical and mental as well. It's like the whole package, isn't it?
Yeah. Physical and mental energy.
Yeah. So with you being in the industry, because I'm hearing a lot now that, mental health is on the increase, things like Alzheimer's, physical diseases as well. In your opinion, being in the industry since COVID, are people giving less of a shit about themselves?
In many ways, yeah, absolutely. In many ways, there's definitely stats to show that obesity is on the rise, mental health's on the rise, suicide's on the rise. There's a lot of negative things on the rise. But what I think is on the rise in a sort of an opposite placement of that is people's awareness around fitness and health. Like they're becoming more aware. It's just people are procrastinating too much, I think. They're
Yeah.
saying, I'll do it later, after this, when my holiday's over, next year, when the kids go back to school, when things are settled. That like the excuses are still there. But I do believe that the awareness is on the rise. So that's a positive thing of social media because it is in our face a lot. But at the same, because obviously everyone's faces just went in phones on COVID. So then they were just exposed to mass media and all the rest of the stuff. But now, like obviously algorithms and things like that, I think we're more aware of our health, but we're still not fucking doing anything about it. And I like to be one of these people who are going to change that.
Yeah, and that's what I like about you because in my head, I'm thinking, right, we've had this horrible pandemic. You would have thought that people have gone, right, okay, we've really got to look after themselves now because we could have a worldwide virus come and wipe us out. But it seems to have gone the other way, which is odd.
Yes.
So, what, in your opinion, what's happened with the mindset there?
So
Because it's not logical, is it?
it's not, well, we're 80% emotion based, as you know, 20% logical. That's the majority of our decisions will be based on emotion. And the fact is, now that COVID's over, now that the mass hysteria is gone, people have forgot about the pain. The pain's gone. And that's what happens is we just get back into normal life. We get to the point where we're ill, right? That's an example of drinking alcohol. You're ill off a hangover, ill. And I said this hundreds of times in my 20s. I'm never drinking again. The pain is so bad. 3 weeks later, you're back on it because the pain's gone. And that's even fucking self-inflicted pain.
Yeah.
So think about, if we can forget about self-inflicted pain, we can forget about any pain. Any pain, no matter how much. This is why we always go around in circles, Amy, because we don't learn from the pain. If the pain's not prevalent, we're not forced to change. So even if it's not actually there in the moment, if it's there in our mind and we know, hang on, there's too much downside to not doing this, there's too much drawback to not doing this, and there's too much benefit to it for me to avoid it, that's when things will start to change.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in you have to hit kind of, I hate the word rock bottom, but a really shit place to be able to like change. And which leads me on to my next question, because I see you that passionate about what you're doing and changing people's lives, so that normally there's a big why behind you do that. So how the hell did you get into this, and what is your why that gets you out of bed every morning to keep going on what you're doing?
Yeah. I want to make an impact to people's lives. I want to save lives, which I know that I have done in several ways, even if it's not pulling someone from a burning building. I think I've saved quite a few people from big downward spirals because I have this philosophy that I've applied in my own life of movement is medicine and health is wealth. And as a 38-year-old man, not many people talk about health. They worry about it in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. By then, it's too fucking late. It's like the time to, start eating fish oil and looking after your diet is not when you've had one heart attack. It's prior to that. It's the time to start looking after your mental health is not when you want to take your own life. You should really be looking at it before that. So because I got to that stage, not physically, I've always been in a fairly all right state of physical health, apart from when I've intoxicated myself with drinking drugs and I thought I was going to die. But that's the come down of a negative effects of intoxication.
Yeah.
But when I was in a troubled relationship and I was struggling mentally and I was suffering with a lot of guilt, shame, regret, overwhelmed, stress, feeling depressed and wanting to take my own life for a short period, I didn't want to, well, I say when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up, right? That was my kind of thinking behind it. The thought alone scared the shit out of me. Fucking hell, I've actually considered dying. That is frightening. And I have a lot to live for, and everybody does. They have kids, they have family, they have friends, they have co-workers, they have people around them that want them. It's like when we lose all hope, that's a dangerous place to be. But the majority of the time, not all hope is lost. It's just a perception. It's just the way that we're thinking is, right? We think that would be better off without. We think that, this is the end. We think we catastrophize as humans, whether that be mildly or catastrophically. We all catastrophize, right? And we've all been through those periods where something happens and we look back at it and we go, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Or we look back at it and we go, bloody hell, why did I spend so much time stressing and worrying over that and it actually turned out all right? Most people can handle most things. They just don't believe in themselves enough. And because maybe they've never been told that they're good enough, or they've never pushed through something that was challenging, they've always gave up too easily. Because confidence, as we may know, comes from proof. We need proof and evidence that we've been through something, that we've done something. So if anybody's watching this or listening to this now that has been to that low place, if you've brought yourself back up from there, if you've hit there and got out of it, you've traveled through the storm, you've went through the erratic river, if you will, to make an analogy, then you've already overcame one of the hardest hurdles. And that is feeling like shit. Because I feel as well, and you might agree with this, Amy, like feeling like shit is not the worst thing. We know what feeling like shit feels like. Even worse than feeling like shit is feeling like shit, then doing something that makes us feel great, and then going back to feeling like shit. That's harder, right? That's harder. Most people beat themselves up because they feel like shit. I'm like, well, that's part of life, kind of. But if you feel really, really shit and you do something which makes you feel incredible, you take control of your life, that's excellent. The feeling like shit part's not that bad, but going back there, that's even harder. So this is where the phrase comes, it's easier to keep up than catch up. Most people are playing catch up. They're doing great for a season, a month, 6 months, a week, a year, whatever, and they drop back down. Then they come back up and they drop back down. And it's highs and lows all the time, right? And it's no wonder we're in this epidemic. We're struggling with obesity, mental health, because people are not keeping up. They're just trying to play catch up all the time. And that's fucking exhausting. So I can understand why we're in this predicament, because everyone's just trying to, basically people's expectations, I feel, Amy, are too high. They're trying to attain this standard of what they see on Instagram. They're watching the fucking highlight reels of everyone's life and they're thinking, I should be like that. Or why aren't I like this? So they either talk themselves out of it and they feel shit about themselves and insecure so they don't start, or they try and they think, and they find out very quickly that they can't keep up that level that they see, and then they feel even worse, which is negative. Rather than doing what they can with where they are, with what they've got, with a plan that works for them. They're looking at fucking Chris Hemsworth plan, for example, who's fucking Thor, who's a Hollywood actor, and thinking, I'll get in shape like him in 10 weeks. Or they're looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is like one of the most inspirational guys in the world, but fuck me, he's an anomaly. He's an anomaly. He's not wired like we're wired. He's genetically gifted and superior to 99.9% of the population. It's great for inspiration and it can pull you on, but you can't think that you're going to be that person, because we have to be the best we can be. Yeah, and I feel absolutely. Most people are
Go on.
Go for it.
I think most people are seeking that instant gratification. That consistency seems to be lacking in everybody at the minute, isn't it? So do you find that as a physical thing as well? You get people in the gym, like, I want a six-pack like tomorrow.
100%, 100%. How long will it take? How long will it take? But thankfully, I've said my message for a long time now because I believe I've been so consistent over the last 11, 12 years of putting content out. 20 years of working on my body. I started training at the gym when I was 16. So sorry, it's, well, 22 years I've been working out now. So I've hit, like, obviously more leaner conditions, bigger conditions, smaller conditions, fitter conditions, not so fit. But I've always just kept going because I've understood that consistency thing. And for me, I've had intense moments where I've got injured or I've done too much. And I've started to realize as I've got a bit older and smarter about training smarter and wiser, and just looking after your body smarter and wiser. Like, so many people are like, if I can't do it all, then I'm going to do nothing. They describe themselves as all or nothing people, right? Which is
Yeah.
fine. And those people get a lot done. And I've got a lot of respect for that because I used to be one too. But I needed to switch because an all or nothing person in some ways is very dangerous, I feel. Because personality wise, if I go out on the drink, for example, my mindset in my 20s was all or nothing. My intention was get fucked up. And I
Yeah.
guess what? Every time I got fucked up because I was an all or nothing person. What's the point in going out and having a couple of pints? It's not fucking not point. So I would go out and have well, vodka was my chosen drink. So I would have 10, 12, 14 vodkas and then the cocaine on top of that, and then the weed to get to sleep. And then the next week would be, right, let's not just have one ecstasy, let's have 6, 7 ecstasy pills tonight. Just fucking stupid, outrageous behavior, like dangerous as well, because God knows what could happen. OD, do run in front of a car, whatever, right? Stupid stuff. But I was an all or nothing person, and I identified as that. Now, on the other hand, if I was really into my gym, really into my diet, I would go on a great stint. But what if an injury threw us off? What if, Amy, something happened in your life which caused you immense grief or pain and you had to take some time off? Then people don't do nothing because they're all or
Yeah.
nothing. This is me. So it's like now I find myself, I'm a little and often person. Just do enough that's required, maybe a little bit more, often, every day, as much as I can. Like if I can't do it today, guess what? I'll just do it tomorrow. You know, the most
Yeah.
important meal, the next meal. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. No, it's not. The next one's the most important. So just because you didn't have a good breakfast means you should eat shit for the rest of the day. It's like these people who it comes to Wednesday morning and they're saying, I've got a lot on, I'm just gonna start on Monday. What the fuck? You've got 5 full days left of your week, and you start because of the magic of Monday. Monday is going to magically change everything, and by that time, you're even more tired, you're even more sick, you're even more stressed, you're even more behind. Whereas people don't realize, again, easier to keep up than catch up. And we're talking about the consistency here, Amy. Consistency is the number one foundational thing that's going to get you what you want in life. They say 90% of success is showing up, and that means 90% of success is consistency, not intensity. The problem is, Amy, and I see this so much, and obviously I'm going to relate a majority of this to diet and exercise, but it all relates to your mind. We see everyone online doing everything hard and fast and perfect and elegant and sweet and beautiful and attractive, and it's fucking ugly sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
we fall over. We look fucking stupid doing exercise. We look fucking ridiculous eating food. The food that we're eating or cooking, or we make something, and I've done it. I still do it now. I cook something for my partner, and she's not that impressed. And I'm like, oh fuck. And some people would feel so disheartened they would never cook again. Oh well, I'll never do it again. They get angry. I've just been. Now I'm like, you know what? I can't get it right every time. You're just gonna have to deal with it. So I've fucked it up. Big deal. That's it. That's the way you got me. Like
I
little
love
things like
that.
this. And this is true because like you can feel bad that the fact like because she's a better cook than me, right? So she'll cook and it's 99% of the time it's lush. Very rarely will she get it wrong. I don't cook as much. I'd say probably 7 to 8 times out of 10 I get it right. But there's a couple of times where I'm like, a bit bland. I didn't do enough of this, enough of that, and I feel a little bit bad. But rather than me overthink it and think, oh well, fuck it, doesn't fucking matter. You know, if she makes a snidey comment or whatever, I'm just like, you know what? I can't get it right all the time. At least
It's that
at
all
least
or
I'm
nothing mindset again, isn't it?
exactly. So I've got to be like, right, little and often. If I fuck up, then I've just got to try and get on track the next one, the next one, the
Oh,
next one. Yeah.
I love that. So going back to people like being the all or nothing, a couple of things. Do you think, I mean, a lot of people like who I coach, massively a peer group is an issue. When you start to work on yourself, whether it's mentally or physically, you start to look at the people around you going, okay, they aren't my kind of people. And I always say the danger in that is you will revert back to them because you kind of feel like you're losing your identity in the status quo bias,
Yeah.
or people find it uncomfortable to get around people that are doing what they want to be able to do. So, what is your kind of view on peer groups and people losing their identity to become better? Because a lot of people won't change because they'll lose that excuse of being like lazy or, you know, fitting in with their group. So, what do you say? What's your kind of thoughts behind that?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Like the phrase "if you become the sum of the five people you hang around" is very, very relevant. But at the same time, people get this wrong because they think they've got to give up their friends. They think they've got to give up their family. You don't. Like two of my best mates still live with their parents, and they're the same age as me, if not a bit older, right? That they've, you know, and that's a bit strange for a man nearly 40 years old to still be living with his parents, but that doesn't mean I have to become them. I love them to bits and I hang around with them regularly, actually, and I really like them. But I have to make sure that I separate my circles so I've got inspiration from all areas. Because it's like people who've been school friends with someone and they're not following the life that they want. That doesn't mean you say, "Oh well, fuck you, you're boring, you're too much this that." If you have a true bond with someone, and I tell you what, when you stop drinking, then you find out who your friends are. So when I
Yeah,
stopped drinking and certain friends stuck around, like, they're my mates. They're my friends. They're my brothers. They're my real people who will take me anyway, not just because I go out on the drink. So you find out in your friendship circle, your social circle might shrink when that happens. But we're always influenced. We'll either raise our standards to the level of our peer group, or we will lower our standards to feel accepted in our peer group. Like, and that is just the truth of it. So I think quantity over quality here. So I would rather spend quality time with my friends and my family, quality time, so we really have a laugh and we engage and we catch up. But I think I would rather spend quantity of time with other people that lift me up and inspire me. But at the same time, I might not be as close to those people as I am my friends and family, but I maybe spend more quantity of time with them because they lift me up and guide me towards where I want to go. But your family and your friendship, if they're true family and true friend and they support you with whatever you do, but they're like the foundation, if you will. They're the quality aspect of it. Does that make sense? I'm kind of like,
absolutely. Yeah,
because they're the kind who are gonna, like, when you're down, and if they truly love you and support you, they will be there for you no matter what. If you fuck up, if something goes wrong, if you really need support, they'll be there for you. But the people who lift you up and like are on a mission and a journey, or maybe not necessarily are really close friends, but people you really get on with, where you're like, you know what, they inspire me. They're playing a bigger game than me. I want to be a bit more like them. More quantity of time with them, because that's going to lift you up a bit more and raise you up. It's not to say you don't spend quality of time with them, because you probably will along the way. But I think the majority of time where we're spending this mind is more important, you know. And if we just spend time with our circles that we're comfortable with, because here's the thing with me, I spend time with a lot of different people, and some of the groups that I'm part of contain people in there who mildly intimidate me in a good way in terms of their results are off the scale, and I'm like, wow, that's like something I could aspire to. I wonder how they did it. Whereas most people would be like, oh, they make me feel inferior and they shrink. I'm actually trying to rise to it, you know, and create, like, follow in their shadow kind of thing. Like, well, I wonder how they did it. Well, it's quite inspiring. I wonder how I can learn from them, grow
yeah,
from them. That's really inspiring. I like the person. I like what they've achieved. I might not be as close to them as what I am to my friends and family who I grew up with, but I'm wanting to pay some attention to this person or people because they're doing things that my friends and my family would never follow. So it's not that I'm leaving them. I'm just getting a little bit more attached to a different idea, but I'm still spending the quality time and the appreciation with them. If that makes sense. That's kind of the first way of
absolutely.
describing
Yeah, yeah. It's that thing about if you're the smartest in the room, then you need to change rooms, basically, isn't it? It's that saying. Absolutely. So Interestingly enough, I asked Reno this last week because obviously you're all over social media. Your content is quite direct, which is why I like you. You don't beat around the bush. You know, you're not there to mollycoddle anybody. But do you get any negative feedback from your socials? Because people do get triggered by you telling them the obvious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, and I've done it for years now. I mean, I've even been on the front page of the local paper with 40,000 copies going out locally back in 2015 for an ill timing of a comment, which wasn't meant in maliciously. It was just ill timed that I said. I still stand by the message. It was just the timing wasn't right. But it happens quite frequently. I haven't had anyone for a little while now, which makes me think I need to market a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But again, I find sometimes as well, a lot of people know how to take me who are already following me. And I think as well, Amy, like I never got in this to be popular. I got in it more to be profitable. I wanted to run a business. I wanted to impact people. I didn't want to just have a following. It's great too, and don't get me wrong, the ego loves it. Like I love when people appreciate me and my post goes a little bit viral and I get loads of comments. But if you were to backtrack over all my content, and I'm talking the last 11, 12 years, there's over 10,000 pieces of content, right? I've been one of the most relentlessly consistent providers of daily videos. I did 1,200 or so in a row on Facebook Live. I produced like well over a couple of thousand written pieces as well, you know, along with YouTube videos and everything else. And if you were to analyze that, I would say less than 5% of it actually gets a lot of attention. The majority of it just falls in the way. I might get 6 likes on a post. You know, I might get 2 comments. I don't do it to be liked. I do it to create an impact. And I write anyway, and see, most people would just be like, oh, that didn't get anything, I should quit. That didn't do anything, I should do something more extreme. I wrote a post about this the other day, and I was thinking people like, though I like the guy like in many ways, like Andrew Tate, you're talking Piers Morgan, you know, I think it's a guy called Joey Swoll, like Kim Kardashian, like these people who are like famous socially, they tend to do a lot of crazy stuff. Liver King comes to mind, right? It's different, it's out there, it's attractive, it's weird, it's, you know, it's the highlight reel as well a lot of the time. I don't really do much like that. I just kind of talk about basics in a quite firm and sometimes fun way. And it's not sexy, Amy. That's the thing, and sex sells more than anything. And I'm aware
Yeah.
of that. So this is why I think I haven't developed an enormous following. I've just been so consistent that thankfully I've managed to build a great business off it and become more profitable and popular, which is ultimately the goal for everyone. I think, you know, it's silly to just become popular, right? There's a lot of insecurities there, which I do understand, and that was my goal at the start. But when we think about it, like my content hasn't went massively viral. There's a couple of posts that have, like literally just a couple of posts over the last 10 years, but you know, a lot of it gets unnoticed. But I don't write to be popular. I write to make an impact, to help people, and I know that it does, which is why I put so much passion into it. And along the way, when you're writing direct and you're using words like depression, anxiety, fat, you're using words like fuck, bastard, shit, all the rest, which I do regularly because I like to express myself. And I curse a lot when I express myself. I always have in my written speeches, whether I'm speaking to 5 people or, you know, 100 or whatever. I'm being the same person as best as I can. I'm trying to be authentically me, which is a hard thing to do. It's not easy because you are open to criticism. You are open to people saying you're offensive. You shouldn't say that. You're wrong. You know, all these opinions. I've had them, and at times they've hurt. You know, and have I
Mhm.
said everything right all the time? Absolutely not. Have I said things that might have actually been factually incorrect in the early days? Absolutely. I can look back at some of my earlier stuff and say, actually, that wasn't really right. I probably should have put it this way instead. Have I been insensitive? Absolutely at times. But I can't create change by telling people what they want to hear, Amy. You have to tell people what they need to hear. And
Yeah.
sometimes like it's too much for people. It's because we react like a mirror. So we have these insecurities. If like I put a post out the other week, question said, "Why are you fat?" Serious answers only, and it blew up. Like loads of people were commenting. A few people didn't like it, but it's not a piss take. It's not a point the finger. It's a question. It's a debate. It's like, no, seriously, wait, why? Why are you fat? And then this opens the question to, well, the reason why we're fat, and people blame this and that and the other, the reason why we're fat is because we eat too many calories for the amount we move. and that's the logical scientific explanation. And some people will rebel against that. I put my audiobook out for free. All I get is like scam, load of shit. The picture looked better before. I'm like, what? You can't win. I'm giving this out for free. It's free to help people. Fucking hell. So yeah, I do get that, but it's always a reflection, isn't it, Amy? Even when we overreact or we get somebody that triggers us, like it's a reflection of ourselves and our own insecurities, and we've all got them. I think it's just sometimes a matter of, especially if there's anybody who's coming up and worried about posting that's listening to this, you just have to be willing to deal with that. It's part of the package. No, if even if you've got the best intentions in the world, even if you're not as brash as what I am or as harsh or forward putting, you're gonna get people talking shit. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it
Yeah.
is.
Interestingly enough, because I put a post out, it's about a month ago now, and I know you'd posted about it in a similar way in the fitness world. So I'm shouting about obviously brain health, and I'd put a post out saying, right, we are lazy. Like we use a sat nav instead of reading a map now.
Yeah.
We don't go out shopping anymore. We use Amazon. Like we don't cook anymore. We use processed food. Like we're literally not thinking of anything. And I know you put a post out a bit before me, and I got a lot of backlash about that, saying it's not our fault that the society's changed. And I'm thinking, but you find that, don't you? It's like people will always go to the easiest option. That's how the brain's designed. You know, it likes to go the easiest option. But it's like you start screaming to people like, take the stairs instead of like the escalator. Like, do you have to argue with people like that? You know, when they join your program, going, just ditch the shit. We need to think about what we're doing.
I think in the earlier days I was a little bit more argumentative. Now I just kind of, I've obviously put a lot of content out, so a lot of people that come my way kind of know the way that I operate. I'm a bit more long-term vision rather than short-term gratification, which is I know where 90% of the world is now, that short-term, that's what we are because we live in a convenient world, but yet we're more stressed and more overwhelmed and have less time. But hang on, the world's more convenient than ever. You don't have to
Yeah.
fast to get whatever you want. So how have you got less time? But it's just how we allocate our time, isn't it? It's how we
Yeah.
allocate our time. That's the thing. And people don't realize, Amy, the small changes that you can make for big results because we're so conditioned. And again, because of what we see online, we're so conditioned now to think that it must be this hack, or this one pill or potion, or this one program, this one thing, the new, shiny, sexy, big thing that's come out that's revolutionizing everything. When in actuality, you know, the thing that worked in the 1960s and the 1970s, where people had active living, they didn't have as much access to shit food. They were more family orientated. They were not addicted to technology. And you didn't really hear about any rates of depression or obesity because people moved more, they ate less, they ate better, not just less, they ate better, much better. But the reason why they ate less is because they just had access to less. There wasn't as much. But at those times as well, people were more in touch with things like nature, with things like hard fucking work. Getting off your arse, grafting, but then coming home and eating a good meal, spending time with the family, getting to bed at a reasonable time. Yes, they might have went out and had a drink on a weekend, but it wasn't like a continuous party. It was different back then. And obviously I wasn't around in the fucking 70s, but I know, and you know this from statistics and photos and videos, and you see, you don't, but again, it's cultural, isn't it? Because if you go to somewhere like New York, for example, you don't see hardly any fat people, which is mad. You might think America, but actually people are so active in New York because they walk everywhere, because it's a nightmare for traffic. So people walk everywhere in New York, right? It's a very active culture with having Central Park and stuff like that, that you actually struggle to see an obese person. That's not to say that people are massively healthy, by the way, and that they're not struggling mentally, but in terms of, you know, the simple stuff, like the reason why New Yorkers are most likely not an obesity epidemic around there and you don't see many is because they're simply more active. That's a
Yeah.
simple fact that people don't like to hear. What do you mean? Just it must be something else. It's something in me diet. It's something about me. You know, it's oh yeah, it's people play victim. They like to play victim. They like to have a problem, right? Or it's my
Yeah.
it's my thyroid. This happened to us, and then I got an injury, and then this happened, and then that happened, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. And I have clients still now coming on or coming to me and say, oh, I can't do that. Like if it's a certain exercise, I'm right, well, what can you do? And then they're like, oh, well, I can do this. Right, okay, what else can you do? Oh, I can do that. All right, so you just can't do that one thing. But they're so focused on the one thing they can't do, they forget the 75 things that they can do. So they stop doing what they were doing because the one thing that they can't do, which is fucking nuts. It's like you've got 4 tires in a car, one's flat. Oh, I'm going to go and stab the other 3 because that one's flat. It's shit. It's fucking stupid. It's illogical, Amy, right? But this is what we do. This is how we operate. For some reason, we have this perfectionist attitude, this everything must be right. It must be perfect before I start. I'm going to start on the first of the month, and the first of the month is going to be a Monday. And then everything's going to line up from there. And it's just mad, man. It's mad.
You ever sit there and you'll hear people speak and they'll come out with the excuses and it just stumps you because it's just like, have you really come out with that? You have just really come out with that and you just said that. And yeah. It's so hard to get people to see, isn't it? And it's like, I always say to people, yeah, life's easier now than it's ever been. Like we've got access to everything, but what is the cost? And they literally still can't see it, even though, you know, I can say exactly what you said and they'll still sit there and they'll still go, yeah, but you know, I've got a ton of excuses here, and it's really hard to get people to see. So, so I'm so pleased that you are shouting and that you are that blunt with it, because I do believe that people need to be kind of shocked into, oh my God, and have a light bulb moment, because they just sit there on their ass and just carry on doing what they're doing. So I asked this question to Jovino because it is one of his questions, but I love this question. Okay. Tell me 3 things that you like about yourself, Luke.
3 things that I like about myself?
Yeah.
Well, I do like my hair, actually. I take quite a lot of pride in that every day. I do like my hair.
Oh, yes.
Body part, I probably like my back the most. I'm very impressed with my back just because it gets the most work. I think I've got an amazing back, natural as well. I'm not a guy who'll stand here and say, hey, I'm all natty. No, I'm not. I'm not on steroids. I am natural, which I'm very proud of. I do like that.
I'm glad to hear that, mate.
I'm proud about that. But again, there's so much on it. And I'll happily admit, back in the 20s, you know, when I was in my 20s, the amount of intoxication that went into my body was ridiculous. But yeah, so I like that. I also like my ability to communicate with people as well. I really like that. I like the fact that I can give a conversation and advice and wisdom that is well articulated. So I like my ability to articulate, I guess you could say.
Okay. So is there anything you're working on to improve in yourself now, though? Or are you I'm knowing you're constantly improving anyway.
Everything. Everything. To be honest, it's always, you know what people say? People say it's an ongoing battle. And if people use that word, that terminology, right? And they use this for their weight, their mental health, their finances, their relationship, whatever. They use this word, and we know this because we hear it every fucking day, right? Especially from clients. Yeah. It's like an ongoing battle. If you keep using the word battle, you are eventually going to give in and quit, because a battle is there to be won or lost.
Yeah.
Like you'll either retreat or you'll win, go to victory. So why do you keep re-entering the same battle? Like eventually you're going to get fucking sick. So we need to stop talking about an ongoing battle with our mental health, an ongoing battle with our weight. We need to consider it an ongoing challenge.
I like that.
Challenge is something you want to overcome, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Challenge is something you want to actively enter. If someone was to say to you, right, we're going to go into battle now. All right, let's get our gear on and get ready. You'd be like, oh my God, no way, I'm terrified. Like, what? Like, but you're doing that subconsciously, like every day. Oh, I'm going into it because basically what you're saying to your brain, and you'll know this, Amy, is you're saying this is going to be hard all the time. What if it could be easier than it was hard? And yeah. I know that's weird, but it actually can when you're consistent. You'll have hard days, you'll have hard times. But if you were to take your whole year, 365 days, right? 12 months. At least 6 of those months should be fairly easy if you're doing the work relentlessly, because you're in flow mode. Most people call it a battle when they're in force mode. They're forcing themselves to do things that they fucking hate. They're forcing themselves to eat food that they hate rather than find food that they like and they can ingest. There's thousands of different foods, except we've only tried 3.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
hundreds of different exercise programs, yet we've only fucking done 1.
yeah,
And it's mad. So then we go, it's a constant battle. Don't find your battle, find your challenge. Because your
yeah,
challenge is something you go, ooh, I want to do this. I can't wait to do the next one. The battle is
yeah,
like, oh, I've got to do it. Oh, I should help out. Oh yeah, it's an ongoing battle because you make it that way with what you say. If it's a challenge, you want to overcome it. You want to sink your teeth into it. So with me, it's an ongoing challenge against myself. Sometimes I'll look at other people and what I'll do, will I compare my results to them very briefly? But I'll usually say, ooh, I wonder how I can get close to that. Because sometimes it can
yeah,
become an ego battle. Like, I need to outdo them. I'm not happy. And I'm like, well, why don't you just take a little bit of inspiration to move forward today? With this challenge, like, I'm always working on my body. I wouldn't consider myself a bodybuilder. I am building a better body, but I'm also performing better. I want to move faster, move better, move heavier weight, move more reps, move differently, recover me broken ankle fully, get back to athletic things that I enjoy doing. Like when I show up to training, for example, physical training, it's not a battle, it's a challenge. Yes, I have the thought, like everybody else, because I train at 3 o'clock, Amy, right? Most, like 4 days a week, I'll train at 3 p.m. That's when I finish in the office. And believe me, at 2:45, that voice is going, oh, you could just go home. Oh, it's fucking, yeah, you got to do it. Oh, it's going to be hard this. Shall we just not bother? That's not a battle. That's the challenge. That's the challenge going, you got to overcome this. Come on, let's get going. That's not the battle of, oh my God, it's going to be so hard. Oh my God. So it's the challenge. It keeps you taking over. Does that help?
yeah, absolutely. I'd said to somebody at a PT group actually last week, somebody had asked me, what if they can't put it in because they've had a stressful day? I was like, it's more important to actually, it's so easy to smash your goals when life's good. It's
Yeah.
more important to be consistent when life's shit and
Hell
just
yeah.
think that way because otherwise you will just not carry on at all. But it's that is the mentality of people, isn't it? Like it's like time shit, I'm just gonna bin everything off.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a dangerous mindset, I think, to be in because it means you are literally all over the place.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so especially the brain needs consistency massively.
It does
And
because
yeah, yeah,
consistency will help you not just get further ahead. You might not get as further ahead as quickly as you'd like, but it's a hell of a lot further than being inconsistent. And then
yeah,
when you get ahead through consistency, because that's the only way you're really going to do it. When you get ahead, you feel like you're going somewhere, and most people's issue is they feel like they're going nowhere, or even worse, they feel like they're going round in circles. And
circles. Yeah, yeah,
that's even worse sometimes because we're like, our brain's going, well, I should be further ahead. Why do I keep doing the same thing? I'm fucking shit, me. Sometimes it's even better, not that it's great, but it's even better to think that you're going nowhere than going round in circles because it's even worse. Even worse, you're more confused. You're fucking dizzy. Put it that way. I'm going round in circles. You're fucking dizzy, right? You're confused.
yeah. And it just makes me chuckle because I think like people will just they want their brains to work,
Yes,
but like they're confusing the hell out of them. So why would they work? They don't know what you want to do.
exactly.
So yeah, so our kind of industries fall very close together because obviously what's good for your body is good for your brain, and what's good for your brain is good for your body. So what have you got next coming up? What's coming up for you this year?
Well, actually, next, which is tomorrow, actually, believe it or not, I've got some corporate speaking opportunities, which I'm very excited about. So there's a local company which I'm going to speak for on the workforce on mental health and well-being. So I've got some corporate speaking. I'm hoping that's going to lead to some more corporate opportunities to speak to staff. And a lot of staff in workplaces are very much suffering and struggling. So I get the opportunity to try and impact them, which is really good. We've got a lot of community events with our guys coming up. We're doing a few mountain climbs this year, like Scafell Pike, Ben Nevis, things like that. We are looking to really launch out this online program that I've got running out now with people training from around the country, if not around the world, to push people out. And we've always got projects in the pipeline, Amy. The content will keep coming all the time. The consistency will keep coming. We'll have things along the way which will be bigger goals. and then we'll have just the day-to-day things, which will just be just get a little bit better, just improve somebody's life today, just keep consistent with what you're doing. Sometimes as well, and I'm guilty of this like everybody, I can be distracted by the next big thing rather than growing what I already have. Oh, I'll just try for this. And I see so many people, and I've got clients like this, and I know people like this who are do so good at one thing, and then they'll jump to the next thing, and they'll do a little bit of that, and they'll jump to the next thing, and then something else will come, and they'll jump on that. And it's like they're all over the fucking place, and they're not sticking to the one thing that works in order to help grow that to a level where it's like it's so great and so foundationally strong, like a healthy mind and body, for example. When
Yeah.
that's just on track, you don't need to be going for the next plan or the next fad diet, for example. You get the foundation, like with your business. If you know how to generate enough leads and warm those leads and make that sale, you don't then look for the next flashy course or the next flashy business that you like. Perfect that bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with
Yeah.
any area. Like we're all looking for the quick fix, and I think we're all looking for more excitement, Amy. To be fair, because I think
Oh yeah.
that's what's lacking, aren't we? Like everyone's looking for the next thing to help them feel alive, right? This is why live sport and entertainment is so huge, enormous, because it makes people feel alive. But in order to get those hits when we're not in live sport or entertainment, we look to drugs, we look to alcohol, we look to food, we look to porn, for example, which a lot of people do. And I used to do that years ago as well, but I quit that a long time ago and I feel so much better for it. But we look to these immediately gratifying things to light us up inside. And I think health is wealth. I think movement is medicine. Two life philosophies I live by now. And I think those are the two things that actually light you up more than most things ever will, by being healthy and moving regularly.
Perfect. So I mentioned your audiobook earlier. I recommend it to everybody.
Thank
Um,
you.
Absolutely amazing. So where can people find you and where can they download your audiobook from? I mean, I will put links on the podcast, but
Oh, yeah.
where can they find you?
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, Luke John Harrison. All four platforms are regularly updated. We're looking to do a little bit more long form stuff now, actually, so a little bit more educational stuff rather than reels and stuff like that. Although we do enjoy putting the short content out, but the long form is where the power is. So there'll be quite a bit of that going up, along with some funny stuff as well. There'll be some more fun character stuff and things coming as well. But my audiobook is superchargedaudio.com, and it's a free download on there. Supercharged Audio, easy to remember. .com. But Instagram, Facebook, you can DM me at any time. My inbox is always open, and I will respond personally as well.
Well, thank you for being straight talking. And I love people that walk the walk and talk the talk, and you're definitely it. So I'm super excited to see what the rest of the year brings for you. Thank you for being an amazing guest, my lovely.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. It's been awesome.
Take care.
Okay, see you soon, Amy.
Bye.